What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news, and just now we've got a new hotfix for the game, of course landing on the 30th of March. So this is hotfix 7007, and there are a few quality of life improvements and fixes. So some minor loot things for Trials of Osiris, but also adjustments to enemies on Neomuna, included in the Root of Nightmares, and some difficulty changes for certain enemies in the game. But on top of that, Bungie are making yet more changes to Commendations, so they're reducing a few requirements there, fixing some weapon perks, exotics, and a few other things which we'll break down in the video. Plus, we've got a couple of other news items to mention. So, as always guys, I hope you find this one useful, but without further delay, let's get into it. And so starting with the hotfix right here, for Trials of Osiris, Bungie say they fixed a problem where wins on a 7-win Trials passage would reward unfocusable Trials of Osiris engrams. So that's an annoying one, but good to see the change there. And they've also made a couple of changes to Neomuna, so they're reducing the prevalence of elite orange health bar enemies to lower the base difficulty of free roam. And they also fixed an issue where Cabal turrets in Ahimsa Park were respawning too quickly. Good to see the change to Cabal turrets right there, but it's an interesting one that they're adjusting orange bar enemies with the goal of making base difficulty of free roam easier. Obviously kind of understandable for a more casual free roam experience. That does partly make sense, although it's interesting. If I'm not mistaken, Bungie said something about tormentors roaming around on the destination, which we've never really seen. Let us know what you think of general destination difficulty. And then for Root of Nightmares, they fixed an issue where Nezarec would not react to players that were positioned in a Well of Radiance. And I believe Bungie was saying that this was essentially making Nezarec less of a threat than they should be during the damage phase. So it'll be interesting to see what that's like. And then for difficulty changes, they say combatant health scaling for 2 and 3 player fire teams has been reduced in the Season 20 Legendary Exotic mission. And that's the Vexcalibur mission, I assume. So it's actually going to be easier on Legend difficulty now than it has been, at least in 2 and 3 player fire teams. And on top of this, they've reduced enemy health in Legend and Master tier Nightfalls, Battlegrounds, Lost Sectors, Offensives, Hunts, and Legend and Master campaign missions. So that's quite a sweeping change potentially right there, affecting Master Nightfalls. But also Lost Sectors, it could be kind of noticeable in that environment. And indeed the Legend campaign for Lightfall. So an interesting change there. So give us your thoughts on that. But Bungie then get on to Commendation adjustments, and they say they've reduced the Commendation score required for Guardian rank 7, 8, and 9. And rank 7 is now 100, where it was previously 460. Rank 8 goes to 250, down from 790. And then rank 9 is now 500, where it was previously 1290. So again, pretty big changes right there to the Commendation score requirements. I do personally think it's a good thing. The numbers required for those were pretty high. And I think the community is questioning a lot of stuff around commendations in the game, but probably overall positive changes there, although kind of unlucky if you spent a lot of time grinding for them. With the previous requirements, give us your thoughts below. On top of that though, they've removed Guardian rank objectives that require players to give commendations from ranks 7, 8, and 9, and they've reduced the number of commendations required for Hawthorne's weekly challenge from 20 to 5. So needing less of them I think is a good thing. But again, lots of conversation about commendations and their value in the game. Arguably, that value does go down with changes like this, although kind of an annoying grind in some situations, so it'd be curious to get those mixed thoughts in the comment section. But let's get through these last few patch notes. For armor, they've reduced the number of additional Scorch stacks added by the Flare Up artifact perk in PvP to 15, and that's down from 30. So some of those grenades and things are going to be a little bit less potent in terms of Scorch, at least using that mod. Then for weapons, they fixed an issue where the target lock trait was not correctly deactivating on a miss if the weapon was firing at 720 RPM or higher. So when using that mod, it was actually not functioning as intended, and target lock wasn't deactivating when it should have been, which I believe does affect stuff like the Immortal from Trials. So that will be a little bit different potentially, although it's still going to be a very good weapon. Then they also fixed a problem where players were unable to acquire the Risk Runner Catalyst, and an issue where Quicksilver Storm and Touch of Malice were not receiving the 40% damage bonus against minor enemies, so they're going to be stronger against those red bars. And then finally, they fixed an issue where certain ghost and weapon mods were not correctly unlocked when progressing through Guardian ranks, and another problem where certain new players were missing access to patrol destinations. So a mixed bag of changes right there. That does it for the hotfix today. and give us your thoughts in the comment section. A final couple of things to touch on right here though, separate from the game updates and stuff that we've had today. And Destiny Bulletin posted, in recent news, Activision was reportedly unhappy with the relationship between NetEase and Bungie. And this is going back to the Bungie-Activision relationship that existed before 2018. And so this is a new report from the New York Times, and it says that NetEase executives believe that Bobby Kotick, who was Activision's chief executive, had made unreasonable demands over the years. And in 2018, NetEase announced a $100 million investment in Bungie, but supposedly Activision were unhappy with the investment because Bungie was currently behind schedule on developing Destiny content, and they had concerns that investments would further distract the company from its Destiny obligations. And that was one of the bits of speculation at the time, that obviously Bungie wanted to look at future projects, but Activision felt that Destiny should still be Bungie's top priority. And it also went on to say that that year, NetEase invested in a game dev company founded by a person who'd previously been a senior Activision employee, and apparently that didn't go down too well between Activision and NetEase in particular. So just some interesting extra context behind why Activision and Bungie actually split. I'm sure there were differences in the business approach that Bungie and Activision wanted to take for the game, but essentially, another major issue is that Activision were demanding that Bungie put more of their resources into Destiny, and given that the development cycle for the game wasn't quite where Activision already wanted it to be, they didn't take kindly to the idea that Bungie were going to then use more resources to work on other projects and things like that down the road. So just an interesting bit of insight right there, and I'll link the article from New York Times down below. Couple of things related to Destiny though, and currently Lightfall is 33% off on the PlayStation Store as part of their spring sale. I'd imagine a lot of you guys have Lightfall, although some of you perhaps don't. So with Lightfall now being discounted, it may be a good time to pick it up. And on top of that, Bungie have released a new bundle called the Armory Collection that includes Forsaken Ciphers, Grasp of Avarice, Shattered Throne, Last Wish, and 30th Anniversary cosmetics. So it's essentially a Forsaken 30th Anniversary pack of content right there. Again, that in particular probably isn't super interesting to you guys, and that collection is probably more expensive than buying the Forsaken collection itself. And all you're really getting from 30th Anniversary is those additional cosmetics, plus the dungeon. But as always, Bungie are going to look to monetize bits of the game and to keep making revenue off older content, which is certainly what we're seeing with sales and things like that. The final thing to mention right here, but Bungie posted some new development insights about developing the music for Lightfall, as well as a bunch of the sound design. So some cool stuff here, like this clip, showing some of the sounds that they developed for Strand. And they actually did it with this kind of cling film. And they produced some of the noises right here by rubbing cling film with rubber bands. And it does make this cool kind of stretching, swirling sound, as you can see in the clip right here. So cool to get more insights about how they've made various sounds. And it's interesting to see the mix of organic, natural elements producing noises, and then kind of filtering or synthesizing bits of that sound to make something different. So I'm going to play a few little sections right here from the Vidoc associated with this, just in case you guys wanted to check it out, but as always, it will also be linked below. And for today, that's everything we have to speak about, guys. So as always, I hope the video has been useful. Give us your thoughts on any of the changes Bungie have made in the patch. And feel free as well to get subscribed to the channel so I can keep you posted with more Destiny content. But otherwise, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.
I think a common assumption is that we wind up recording the entire orchestra together all in the same room. That's not the case at Bungie. We actually do a process called striping, where we break the orchestra up into each of its individual sections. We break it up into strings, brass, woods, and choir.
Effectively, what we're doing is we're taking all the different passes and then putting them together, and in our music production process, we're making them sound cohesive together the way we want. You have a little more flexibility in the way that the music is presented and how it can be sculpted to support each moment in the game.
Sometimes we will go so far as to break out individual melodies on each of those sections.
There was a very big key moment in one of the vignettes in the campaign, and we really stripped down the arrangement in a way that we couldn't have done had we not striped.
We're really excited for Lightfall because with this one, we've gone in a direction that is really kind of pushing the envelope for what Destiny music can be.
We want to make sure that the music is memorable and that it's something that people enjoy listening to and not just fits the story.
When players play through Lightfall for the first time, I hope they really feel like they are the star in their own action movie.
I think that the music we've come up for this really touches the nerve we were trying to touch. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of sometimes things that you have to rework or whatever, but like once you get there, I'm so proud of it.
What we all ended up writing for it, it's so exciting, and I can't wait for players to just hear it and experience the game.
I think the big message I want to give fans for this is enjoy it. Go on the journey. Experience the emotions that we hopefully put in there for you to experience. And just listen.